Probably the hottest debate question of 2019 is WWE versus AEW, who's going to win? And at the end of the day, the simplest statement that I could possibly make as a guy that used to make ridiculous videos talking about waiting for payoffs is in 2019, the winner of AEW versus WWE and going into 2020 and beyond is going to be the fans. I have for a long time stuck up for WWE because WWE does this cycle where they'll bury your favorite superstars, you'll get invested for 6 months to a year, and ultimately you'll get the payoff. AEW, since they've came to the inception, it's pretty much they have a perfect playbook for how to run a company and just not doing what WWE usually does. They're being the Elite Series. Their pay-per-views, their shows so far haven't had bullshit finishes, haven't had DQs, haven't had matches that stretch it down 3 months down the line like WWE does. We've had clean, for the most part, winners and losers. This has led some people, like Kenny Omega, to be on a losing streak and having a lot of people complain. It's had people like Cody Rhodes getting a title opportunity before the company even launches on TV at their next pay-per-view. WWE versus AEW, I think, is about more than the two companies. Yes, AEW is the underdog, and WWE is the David versus Goliath story that has been around for a long time. Tons of companies have tried to step up to WWE, and Vince McMahon will do anything he can to squash them. Here's where this one is a little differently. AEW is owned by a billionaire. WWE is owned by a billionaire. So if you are launching a company against WWE, you should do what Tony Khan is doing. Tony Khan and the team are taking shots at WWE. They're going after the things that piss off WWE fans, because if you're trying to attract an audience, that's the stuff you do. One of the best points I can make about this is something like the Librarian. WWE will give somebody a stupid gimmick and tell you why you have to like it, and if you don't, it's your fault. The Librarian is a gimmick they're still going to continue to do, but they keep calling it out from day one. Myself and Pulse brought this up after the live stream for the debut episode of NXT when we just talked wrestling for hours. And one of the things we mentioned is at least AEW is willing to admit it, versus WWE will bullshit you into believing you're in the wrong, and getting people like me, a company diehard, to defend them. But at the end of the day, that's what makes AEW stand out. They know fans are unhappy with the current product in WWE, and they basically have a playbook written out for here's what we don't do because this is what's pissing off the WWE fans, so they'll come and spend their money with us. I do like AEW, and if you're comparing star power right now, the definition of TV star power, WWE has the favor. Kenny Omega, probably the best wrestler in the world currently, in my humble opinion, came out and took shots at NXT being developmental talent. But at the end of the day, what happened? It's like Matt Hardy always says with his broken character, you have to stay relevant when you're not doing anything on social media. Kenny Omega has been on a losing streak. Kenny Omega is had a lot of people talk about him. It's two completely different definitions, and I love the memes I'm seeing. When Seth Rollins defends WWE and talks about his bank account, he's the bad guy. But when Kenny Omega does it, it's perfectly fine. And for a lot of fans, you're able to justify that. Listen, WWE is the king of the mountain. AEW is just trying to gain a foothold. One of the things we mentioned on that same episode with Pulse, I was like, why is it fair for AEW to be able to take shots at WWE, but if WWE responds, they're horrible, they're bad. Literally, on Being the Elite, they call him Hunter Horst Helmsley with the Adam Page thing, and that's a direct shot at WWE. They used the sledgehammer with Triple H. They pretty much built an entire show taking shots at WWE, but since WWE is the top dog, any shots they fire back is looked at as a bad thing. In the age of wrestling nowadays, and I'll be the first one to admit, for the first time, I signed up to indie wrestling, which used to be called Powerbomb TV. It's independentwrestling.tv, which they air a lot of promotions like ICW, Freelance Wrestling, CCW, and I watched a couple of their live shows last night, and I watched Freelance Wrestling, and I watched ICW New York. And I have to be honest with you, watching independent wrestling, I was kind of in love. Like, I've always watched independent wrestling or the big matches when somebody talks about them, but watching a show live, you see fans connect with a crowd, and at the end of the day, that's the most important thing. if WWE fans are still willing to pay their money, even if their favorite superstars aren't getting used properly, and they're still willing to support the company for some damn reason, and buy the worst designed NXT t-shirts of all time, WWE is going to continue to put out the worst designed t-shirts of all time and the products they do like they have with NXT. Because if the fans still want it, they'll still do it. AEW, on the other hand, is trying to build a marketplace from the ground up and have to entice people to buy their stuff. So they have to either make better merch, they have to stand out, they have to be a little bit more edgy, they have to take shots at WWE, and that's something that definitely stands out. So this war between AEW and WWE is still a battle between billionaire versus billionaire, where one is looked at as the underdog. But at the end of the day, the two companies are led by big money. There's big results in it, and people have been seeing commercials on WWE programming. And so far, it's only happened on DirecTV. Well, why has it happened only on DirecTV? Well, AEW is on TNT, which is owned by Warner Media, which is owns AT&T. So, like, when you have DirecTV and you have AT&T that owns them, and you have ads being bought, this is a definition of a war. Meanwhile, WWE is getting that promotion that I've said for a long time would be coming. You have Braun Strowman on Fox baseball games talking in the booth, and you have guys like Keith Olbermann crapping on it. You have this crossover with the paternity thing with Maria Kanellis, and they're getting Maury involved, Maury Povich. What network is Maury Povich's show on? Fox. They are fully ingraining their investment. If WWE and Fox is getting spent $1 billion to air this show, you want to protect that investment, so you give it every viable opportunity you can. WWE's commercial for their show on SmackDown is absolutely phenomenal with Stone Cold, John Cena. Now, how many of those people are actually going to come to SmackDown? I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. But at the end of the day, this is going to be a battle. But I truly mean this, I hope we do not make it about the companies. If you like one company, and the best example I can give you is a guy like Pulse. He talks about it on the Deadlock podcast. He brings it up to people, and people genuinely can't believe him. When he says the only reason he is really excited for AEW is because of the Joshi wrestling with people like Riho. And that's one of the things that I think a lot of people have a hard time grasping. How can you just tune into AEW when WWE sucks? Well, if you watch so much other wrestling, why are you watching something you don't enjoy? For me with WWE, the reason I justified a lot of their bookings and their actions is because I've been around long enough to know that it's going to suck for a long time, and we're going to eventually get their definition of what they call a payoff when those writers are sitting in the room like, yeah, let's do this, this, and this. But the ultimate thing is going to be this one shining moment. But by the time you get that one shining moment, nothing ever comes from it. Like the Tag Team Championship for the women. Bayley and Sasha finally do it. They make a historic run. And then what happens? The Iconics take them away, and the tag teams pretty much never get used. That's the definition of WWE. But in your mind, they basically tell you, well, yeah, but you shouldn't remember any of that. You should remember the big moment. It's like Sasha and Bayley actually winning. And that's hard to justify as a fan when you just love wrestling or you just love Bayley and Sasha, and now they're getting treated like crap. That's one of the things I think AEW makes stand out, that even if somebody is losing, like Jurassic Rex or whatever the heck they're called, between Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy, right? They haven't won, but they're very entertaining. They're on the Being the Elite show. They're always around. Versus in WWE, it feels like a punishment when you're not on TV. Even if it's no bad politics backstage, whether it's just legitimately they didn't have him on the show, they didn't have him wrote because the writer that normally sticks up for this person isn't there. For whatever reason, they're not on TV. You automatically assume they're buried in WWE. Versus Being the Elite, it kind of cuts the bullshit, like calling out how bad the librarian thing is, but they keep pushing it. But at least acknowledging it to the fans can go, yeah, this sucks, right? But they're still giving you the gimmick that sucks. They're just telling you, yeah, we know it sucks. And that's something, if WWE just did that, it would be a whole lot more real. And WWE's starting to. WWE, for the first time ever after the show on NXT, had an injury report. Matt Camp, who just recently signed to WWE Digital, basically gave an injury report for WWE superstars. And that's something that WWE is finally starting to acknowledge as they move towards this sports generation through the Fox and through NXT going live. And the fact that NXT debuted to 1.1 million fans definitely shows that there's a marketplace for this. There's definitely an audience for wrestling. And if you don't like WWE in the past 4 years, NXT has been your escape. And then even if NXT wasn't good, now AEW can be your escape. But whatever you choose to do, if you're a guy like Pulse that you're only tuning in to see Hikaru Shida, only to see Riho, Yuka, whatever it is, you're still watching. So if AEW can draw on you to see those guys, those gals, or they can draw you in because you just saw SCU and you saw their videos and you love them, or the people that genuinely have no idea that Kenny Omega is even a wrestler, but they see him play video games and they come to watch, it keeps them around. AEW is kind of like a melting pot of ideas. It's kind of like New York. It's a melting pot where it has something for everybody. It goes from these hardcore brawling matches to these story-told matches to, like the Cody Rhodes, Shawn Spears thing. And then it definitely sets the tone apart versus WWE seems so formulaic. It seems like every match on the card at Night of Champions, for the most part, was a blow-off to a feud, and I was looking forward to it. But at the end of the day, they're still just match, versus AEW felt different. Everything felt, I don't want to say more natural because obviously it's still a written show. It had a better place in my heart as I'm watching it. I felt like I had to watch it versus WWE. Chances are that if I didn't see it, I'm not going to miss anything, and chances are I'm going to see it again when WWE rebooks the match. So at the end of the day, the one thing I want to make clear in this video, guys, if you're not happy with WWE or even AEW, don't waste your time being a stand for the companies. The companies are going to be fine. The companies are owned by billionaires. What we should be cheering for is the performers. If you only want to tune into AEW like Pulse to see the Joshi Stars, only tune in to watch the Joshi Stars. If you stay around for the other wrestling, great. If you like certain WWE or NXT superstars and you tune in to watch them, great. I don't think we need to be calling out AEW versus WWE. I don't think we have to be defending those guys or basically going to bat for them when we shouldn't have to. My favorite thing was when Kenny called out the superstars and fans were attacking them and going after the NXT and sticking up for them, and Kenny Omega responded like, oh, no, Matt Riddle's great. And then the response was, I got this, cleaner. And that, to me, is hilarious because fans are willing to go to that level to defend their company, and simply because AEW is giving them a product they want, and they're feeling heard. They're feeling, unlike WWE where they sweep your feelings under the rug and you may eventually get it, they're at least listening. So that's the defining thing of all this. Don't worry about the two companies. They're owned by billionaires. If AEW goes under, they go under. If AEW is super successful, they're super successful. At the end of the day, those performers are able to make a better living. The earnings are up for them, and I know some people, just like Pulse, don't like to hear about how much money the superstars are making. But at the end of the day, my favorite people like Orange Cassidy, who I fell in love with on the independent scene, watching his stick, when you hear Jim Cornette talk about these guys and they're ruining wrestling, and then you genuinely see these crowds of 100, 200, 300, 500 people fall in love with something so simple as a slow-paced match. I just watched Gangrel versus Orange Cassidy, and I fell in love with it. It's the world's meshing. Gangrel was some people's favorite, one of the favorite superstars they had. It was just a unique gimmick, and the blood and everything, and then Orange Cassidy has his thing, and the end of the payoff to that match, if you hadn't seen it, spoiler alert, Orange Cassidy goes to drink the blood, Gangrel drinks the orange juice and blows it in Orange Cassidy's face and hits a DDT and wins the damn match. So I implore you guys, even when WWE versus AEW is going on, still check out other wrestling. Find something you enjoy, invest in it, and become a part of it. Right? Like, I don't think we have to become super defensive. We don't have to go to war on Twitter saying WWE sucks or AEW sucks. Find the performers you love, invest in them, and at the end of the day, wrestling will just continue to get better as everybody tries to push each other to the top notch. There's a whole crop of talent I had never seen before, with everybody getting signed to WWE and AEW and Impact Wrestling, and watching last night Freelance Wrestling and ICW, seeing like Isaiah Velasquez and the Eye Candy Dude and Gregory Iron. There's so many people that are going to be given these opportunities as these two major corporations go at it. I think it's going to be a great time for professional wrestling fans. So I'd love to know, guys, besides just AEW and WWE, which obviously you guys are probably fans of and are excited for, what are some other promotions? What are some other people that you enjoy watching? Wrestlers, male, female, whoever it is, what do you enjoy watching? What is the thing that gets you to watch WWE, and what gets you to watch AEW? Are you just a fan of professional wrestling, or do you want to see a battle where they go at each other's throats and willing to die for this shit? MDK for life, as Nick Gage would say. I want to know what you guys truly think in the comment section down below. I'm going to continue to watch WWE. I'm going to continue to watch NXT. I'm going to continue to watch AEW. I'm going to continue to sometimes, once in a very long time, watch ROH. I'm going to continue to stream indie wrestling and watch these indie promotions that even if you miss the matches, it's not going to hurt you whatsoever. But I want to invest my time in the next future crop of superstars that we're going to start to get signed to our TV. So that's where I want to wrap up this, guys. I really appreciate you watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Hit the like button if you did enjoy it. You can hit that subscription button. If you want to not miss any videos, you can hit the notification bell so that way you're always up to date. You can follow me on social media at TubbyEmu. If you guys want to sign up for independent wrestling, I'll put a link in the description. I highly suggest it. There's a 20-day free trial. I'm not being paid. I'm not an affiliate or anything like that. But I personally have been enjoying it on this free trial. So until next time, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you all later.
Problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems I solve them. I run through the money, the pressure be calling. Left on my blessings, I feel like I'm falling. The birdie is back, tell me I'm garbage. I'm going through something, that's why I ain't calling. Phone and progression, it's all that I wanted. The phone in affection, I summon and dub it. Cause I got problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems I solve them. I run through the money, the pressure be calling. Left on my blessings, I feel like